on a second. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Straight Outta BS podcast. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. It really means the world to me. Thank you to the Patreon members. Thank you to anybody that's interacted with the video in any way, shape, or form. It really helps the algorithm, and just the support means the world to me. I want to do a moment of silence for the person still struggling with addiction or intrusive thoughts or anything like that. So on the count of three, I'm going to do a moment of silence. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for that. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest for the day. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you worked.
I'm Shauna D. Philippus, also known as Shauna Wagner. I worked at springcreeklodgeacademy from August of 2006 until April of 2007.
Okay. And how did you hear about this job? Like, how did you end up getting this job?
Okay. So I'm just going to I'm going to leave his name out of it, only out of respect for him, because I don't know. It's an awkward situation.
Yeah.
But my ex went there for, I want to say it was 2 years he attended. And we were dating for a while after he got out and came home. I found out about it through him and his family. I was told this was what saved his life. I was told that they sent him away because of the things he was doing, the choices he made, but it changed who he was and he was a better person for it. So our relationship went on, and we weren't probably making the best choices. Got into some drugs, got into doing some things that we shouldn't have been doing. I mean, when him and I got together, I was 19.
Okay.
When we went out to Montana, he was 21. I had literally turned 21 working at the school.
Okay.
If you want to call it. So when things got real bad here, I didn't know what else to do. So, I mean, I knew that this wasn't really what I wanted in life. So I said, well, if it saved you before, maybe it'll do it again. Because he kept saying, well, they always said I could come back. They always said I could come back. I always had a place there. So I said, well, what are you doing? If we're where we are at right now, and I don't see a future forward, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So he talked to his parents, and I honestly now believe that this may have been part of his exit plan, without knowing then what even an exit plan was.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
For him to come back, you mean that was part of his exit plan to end up coming back?
I think so. I think if he had reverted back to his ways or whatever, then I do believe that his parents would have put that in his exit plan. Like, if for him to come home, like, if you screw up again, you're going back.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it past them, but I mean, and they pushed it. They pushed it hard. I mean, they sent us out there. They paid for the whole way. That's what kind of led me to believe, like, now that, yeah, I think that was exactly what happened.
Okay, so his parents paid for you guys to go back there, and essentially, like, the trip for you guys to make up there.
Yep.
And then you essentially started working there, and he became a student there again? Is that what happened?
Nope. No. So he went out before I did. He flew out, and he spent from June of 2006 until August, when he came home to get me, and for us to drive out there.
Okay.
He spent working there. He was working. He didn't actually, we basically were paid students. It was the weirdest thing in the world. We lived on facility for the first 3 months that we were there. The
Okay.
house that we rented after we moved off facility, because we were in D cabin.
Okay. Yeah.
We had him on one side of upper D cabin, and then I was on the other side.
Okay. Interesting.
And we were the only ones in the building. Upstairs, we're the only ones that lived there.
Oh, so you guys lived there in D cabin. Okay.
We
Wow.
lived in D cabin for 3 months. He had to stay on one side and I had to stay on the other. So they split us up.
Interesting. Interesting. They didn't want you guys interacting at all on the facility?
I mean, we interacted on the facility, but they didn't want any of you guys knowing
That you guys knew each other. Did you
that
guys,
we lived there or
Yeah.
that we were like together
yeah.
there. And at least until we moved into our own place off facility. When we moved off facility, it was I want to say it was one of it had to have been one of Chafin's buddies or Cameron's buddies, because there was a group of other staff on the other side.
Interesting.
So it was a duplex. And on one side it was me and my ex. On the other side was like 3 or 4 other staff members.
That's weird. That's a little
Three
weird.
houses down. 3 houses down was the librarian.
That is super weird. That's super, yeah. That to me kind of screams like cult. Like just trying to keep tabs on people. To me, that seems like keeping tabs on people, making sure they're doing what they should be doing type thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, it was super weird because, like I said, I mean, I go out there thinking I'm going to be working at some school, at some boarding school. I'm going to be able to help a bunch of kids, probably get my own head straight, because it pulled me out of where I was at and in the situations we were in there. So, I mean, it was a win-win all the way around, supposed to be.
Yeah.
Got there.
Did you guys, okay, so you were doing drugs before you went up there to work. Did you guys stop doing drugs and then decide to go up to there and work? Was that part of like that whole thing was?
Were we supposed to have? Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that was like the plan, but that didn't end up happening.
No. Oh, no. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. I was probably introduced to other drugs that I had never seen in my life once I got there.
on the facility.
They were
on facility.
And it was off facility, but by other staff members who were prior students.
Okay, I've heard this from I've heard this. Yep.
Yeah. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. Like, I literally watched my ex like turn into a person I never met out there. And that's where it started. Like, obviously it started here before we even left, but it did not make it any better at all whatsoever. So like I said, I got out there in August. Like I said, I turned 21 at Spring Creek. Wow. I spent my first birthday sober. I didn't get to actually celebrate that until like 6 months later.
That's crazy. You were like a lot of people would say she wasn't young, but to me that's young to be like having a job like that and just like a job that demands so much from you.
I had no experience. I had no experience going into it. None whatsoever.
What did they like when you got the job? Like, what kind of questions did they ask you in the interview, or did they even have an interview?
What interview? Literally, my ex called up the school, said, "Hey, this is what's going on. You got a job for us? Can we come out there?" And that's what happened.
Didn't ask anything like about your background, nothing?
Nothing.
Wow. Okay. That's extremely
I didn't even fill out an application until I was on the facility my first day.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That speaks volumes.
And I can guarantee you, because I smoked pot then too, that I did not pass that drug test I took.
They gave you a drug test though, but they didn't
They
say
gave me
anything
drug
about it.
test,
Wow.
but never
Okay.
said a word about it. I remember because I remember. So you remember the admin building? You remember the bathrooms? As soon as you'd walk into the admin building right there,
Yep.
they made
Yep.
me go in there and pee in a cup. But I never know what happened to it after that.
Wow. Wow. So it's all for show. Wow. Or they kept
Yep.
that information to maybe use as like
And
something to hold over your head later, you know?
exactly. I have no idea. I have no idea, but it was the strangest thing in the world. It was not like any other job I've ever had to date.
What did you start out doing when you first got there?
I was a family mom.
Okay. And what did they
pretty much the entire time I was there, I was a family mom. I started in Integrity, and Verna and Jerry are the ones who actually trained me, and I use those very strongly because they didn't. Literally, it was, okay, here's what it is. The girls taught me more than they did.
Wow. Wow. That's
Honestly, I spent more time with the girls as they traded off on their cigarette breaks.
wow. That's crazy. So you literally just had to teach yourself and you were like more taught by the students probably because the students would be like you'd see a student break a rule and then you'd know that that's not what they're supposed to be doing.
Pretty much. Or like the girls on junior staff were a big help at that point because I had no clue. I had no clue. I'm trying to remember because there's a lot of hazy stuff because I've blocked a lot of things out because it was obviously not, and I tried to write a bunch of stuff down, so I will refer to notes here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, and the whole reason I just read, I was like, the whole reason I even went into Integrity with them was because Verna was going to support staff.
Okay. Okay.
So it was during that transition. I mean, I was there when Patty Witt took over for Cameron and Chafin.
Okay. As the head of the school, pretty much. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I was there right for that transition. I got bit by a student.
Like physically bit?
Physically bit by a student because she was trying to physically harm herself. It was the only time I ever had to do a restraint. And she bit me for it.
Wow.
100%. Obviously, I was not a strong enough person to be doing restraints.
Yeah.
I'm not much bigger now than I was then.
Did they even give you any training on how to like properly restrain or whatever, even though it's not a proper restraint?
So, basically, we went into this building. There was this building, I remember, kind of over by the, like where worksheets was and stuff like that, where all of staff, like your shift, would go to for like your shift change.
Okay, I remember those. Yeah.
Okay. So we would have a meeting where like everybody would end up in here, everybody would talk bullshit, and Tyrell would put on a restraining training. It was all complete bullshit.
Was it a video? It was a video?
No, it was them telling us how to do it. Like Mr. Dave and all of them demonstrating it on each other.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Like,
yeah, I
this
forgot
is how
about
you do
Tyrell.
it.
I forgot about Tyrell.
Yeah. Tyrell was supervisor the entire time I was there for my shift. I don't remember who was shift supervisor when I started for the other shift, but when I left, it was Tom Adkins.
Okay. How many hour shifts would they have you working on a daily basis? Like how long would you have to
We worked a 3-2-2 schedule basically. So you were on for 3 days, off for 2 days, on for 2 days, off for 3 days. And you stayed on facility.
And it didn't
You didn't go home at night. So like we'd get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Our shift would end by 9 o'clock at night. or 8 or 9 o'clock at night when night shift took over. When you guys went to bed, that's when our shift ended. Unless one of you guys went to intervention, in which case, if it went past midnight, we got 24 hours.
And then did you guys, wasn't it a thing where if you had to sleep, or maybe this was just a thing when I went there, but they sometimes would have the family father or family mom sleep on the floor and you get extra money for it. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. No, oh yeah. So that was so when things got real scarce with night shift. So that was when do you remember Tim Elder, the Elder brothers?
Yeah.
That were originally
Yep. I remember.
So when they went to support staff and Q and all them were all the crazy runner people.
Yeah.
And they took them all off night shift.
Okay.
That's when they started having all of us hey, if you do this, we'll pay you more.
Yeah, I remember they got paid. I remember one of the staff was telling us that he got paid double or something like that.
Yeah.
Nights
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So you get paid. So if you had to stay in the cabin if we had to stay in the cabin with you guys, we got paid for 24 hours.
Wow.
And we did 12-hour shifts basically, or 12+ hour shifts.
Wow. Were you guys, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I'm just kind of curious what the pay rate was back then.
I don't remember, but I know I honestly don't remember. I made stupid money for a fucking 20-year-old.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was gonna ask. Is did you make a lot?
I can honestly say to date. I mean, right now I'm a waitress and I'm a stay-at-home mom basically.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've worked in the car business forever since basically I've been back. And I can't even say that I made what I made there since then.
Yeah, it's insane how much money was. See, what I wonder is how much they were paying you in relation. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's not the dollar. It's okay. It's not the dollar amount, your hourly rate. It's because they had us working 14 hours, in a day.
Yeah.
And then you had I mean, we weren't supposed to, but I mean, we all made a connection with some of you guys.
Yeah.
So some of the girls, I can tell you honestly, would be hey, I don't feel like shutting down tonight. You feel like pulling a 24? How do you say no to that? You want to break from family? You want to go chill for a little bit? Okay. Yeah. Because I wasn't your atypical staff member though. I remember within the first month, I looked at our family rep, integrity family rep, Miss Arminthia. And I said, can't we do a craft day or something like that? Can't I bring stuff in to do something with these girls? They're bored.
Yeah.
How do you fix them if they're bored?
Yeah.
They're just going to want to keep doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
I know that's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not far off. I wasn't that much older.
Yeah, definitely not.
I had just been through all of it. You know what I mean? I wasn't dumb to it. I knew if I got bored, I was going to do something stupid.
Yeah, and you also didn't come from a program pro program family or somebody you didn't come into start working there as somebody that knew exactly what you were going to be doing. You know what I mean?
I only knew what I read in the book Come Back.
What was written in there? Do you remember what exactly?
Oh, I still have it. I actually just reread it not long ago. It's a very good read if you actually are interested in it. Honestly, she explains a lot of the seminars. I mean, everything in the seminars that I witnessed, being there, she was spot on with. Absolutely spot on with.
Okay.
But here's the other thing, that makes me say, that we were basically paid students, was the fact that, I had to go through, I know I went through discovery. I had to do orientation.
Like you had to sit in or just sit in as a staff? Like were you staff
I couldn't staff it unless you go through them.
Okay, so you had to
could
actually
not sit into those unless you went through them. And they didn't have enough staff.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, I mean, we were basically paid students.
And also you were brainwashed or whatever under the same thing that we would have been with the seminars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're
Exactly.
indoctrinated the same way because you have to go through it in order to staff it, and you have to staff it because you're a staff member. So there's literally
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, after Discovery, I said, I'm done. I mean, I said, I'll do Trail of Lights. That's cool. Cause like, that's technically not an actual seminar.
Yeah.
But no.
Do you remember feeling some sort of weird like high when you came out of Discovery? Do you remember feeling some sort of like no? Okay. Yeah, it's like a 50-50 thing. Some people will say that they felt that way, and some people will say that, like for me, I felt like I was outside of my body for a little bit.
I can see how I can see how people can be, yes. Maybe for me it's because I was okay, so little background on me. I was diagnosed ADD and ADHD at like 2nd grade and put on medication. So I saw all the doctors, all the therapists, all the things, and by the time I got to there, I was going, are you kidding? Like I'm done. Just done. Like it was literally like I felt like it was both neurologist and like therapist, psychologist type thing that just combined it to each other and said that you need to think this way.
Yeah, and that everything's right and just believe us that it's right.
Correct. And I've already had so many issues with doctors telling me that I'm looking at them going, no, thank you. So like I figured it out to this point. I think I'll figure it out now.
Yeah, yeah. So after Discovery, you said screw this, right? Essentially with the seminars. Yeah. And then so they only had you staff then Trail of Lights. Is that what happened?
Yep.
That? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And how long did you work there total?
It was just under a year, I want to say. It was like 9 months, 10 months.
Okay. And what made you leave?
A whole mixture of things. Life. The life I was living with my ex. The fact that I was 1,700 miles away from home, and if something happened, I had nowhere to go. I had nobody. And the place was falling apart. Everything around me was falling apart, and I'm the kind of person that needs structure. Otherwise, I fall apart and then my life fails. And I never ever agreed with almost any of it. I mean, you guys sat in a classroom multiple times a day with one teacher.
That may or may not have even been.
None of you guys were in the same grade.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. So you have books in front of you, but no computers.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all self-taught, and a lot of the tests actually had the answers imprinted on the fucking plastic too.
So funny story is I did homeschooling courses for in high school. All of the answers are in the back of the book of those two. Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly where they got their curriculum from, if that makes sense.
Well, also the whole thing about how you have to get 80% or higher or else you don't pass. That whole
that's because an 80% is technically a B.
Yeah. Yep.
So technically you're not failing at what is it? Even a 60%, I think it was like a 60% is considered like a high D, low C.
Yeah. Yep. So you're passing B average, maybe.
Yeah.
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 And most people would just try, like, there was some people that would be like, I'm trying to get, you know, of course you'd aim for 100%, but people would be like, if I can just get 80%, then that's good enough, you know?
Right. Because it was stupid.
Yeah, none of it makes sense.
It was stupid because you guys had to work your ass off for something that was nothing really. And to me, it was very degrading. It was very degrading. Like, I remember when I went to leave and I wasn't supposed to tell any of you guys. Because I know I staffed your trail of lights, I think.
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might have. I was the last person to graduate, or there was one other person that graduated with me.
No. Okay, so then it wasn't your trail of lights. The one before your trail of lights was the one I staffed. So my ex was Quest my ex was Quest family father.
Okay.
Okay, it was one of the Quest family fathers. I also remember that, like, when Quest would act up, because they always did.
Yeah.
Right before shutdown, Quest would, like, blow up. They would just explode.
Yeah, we got a removal. Yep, something like that. Yep.
Whatever it was. And literally, Tyrell would like radio to me, and he'd like tell me to go to a different station. So I'd get over to a different station, which I knew everybody was going to that station anyways. So you guys all heard it anyways. Everybody knew I was coming through the cabin.
Yeah.
Their theory was to send a female staff through the guys' cabins when you guys did that, because it would immediately change your demeanors.
Yeah. Where's the logic in that? Where's the logic?
Literally, I did it because it was fun and it got me out of the cabin and let me go for a walk for a little bit.
Yeah.
Most of the time I'd go through and I'd be like, what is going on? Like, who's being dumb and why?
Yeah.
You know, it was never anything real. It was always something that they didn't want to deal with. Somebody said something to somebody and they didn't like it, so they got butthurt and removed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Or I mean, somebody just didn't want to take a shower or just refused to fucking get off their bunk or something like that.
Right, which is dumb. Find out why.
Yeah, why not ask them what's going on in their mind that they don't want to do anything, you know?
Halfway through, like, my time there, I moved down to Passion.
Okay.
And I finished my time with Passion. I actually was there when they combined the two girls' families. That was crazy. Like, we closed down half of the one cabin and had so many girls on one side.
Like 30, was it 30 something girls on one side?
I want to say it was 28 girls on one side when I left.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, to have every bunk.
And I don't know why they never opened up the other side, other than the fact that there was only one staff for 28 girls.
Yep. And then towards the end, they also combined were you there for when they brought the junior staff from lower facility up to upper facility?
Junior staff boys?
Yeah. When they moved them from lower facility
no, not when junior staff boys were, but I was there when they brought junior staff girls up to D cabin, because that's when they made us move out. And they conveniently found a place for us.
Wow. Okay. Do you have any what like things, or do you have like a lot of guilt from your time working there?
I wouldn't say guilt as much as I would say is I hope I was able to actually do what I set out to do when I went there, which was I really do hope I did help somebody. I hope, me being there made it a little bit better. Because, like I said, I mean, I did what I was supposed to do when I needed to. And it was never to drop anybody. I can honestly say I don't think I ever dropped anybody the entire time I was there. Why?
Yeah.
What do they learn from that?
Were you one of the family moms that would like yell a consequence out but then not write it down? Because I knew a couple of staff that would do that a lot of the time. Like, because they do it because just to show up for like the other staff and be like, hey, I'm doing my job.
Or junior staff.
Yep.
Junior staff, like it sucked, but like sometimes like you'd see some of the junior staff and it'd be like, wow, like I really feel like you guys got so programmed. Like I wish I knew you before you ended up on junior staff.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what you were like on lower levels when, you know what I mean? Because I can't imagine them being as as much of a hard ass as they were once they got onto junior staff.
Yeah, the power definitely gets to people's heads for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I only ever had to restrain her because she was going to hurt herself.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I didn't do it to like hurt her. It was literally like, I'm going to bear hug you now. Hence the fact I got bit.
Yeah. And also it's like everybody's being brainwashed. So I mean, like, that's what people need to understand is that everybody's being brainwashed. Like,
right.
You know?
Well, they took her to intervention. They came and got her and took her to intervention. It was I want to say it was Q and Tim Elder, both came and got her, took her up to intervention. And then when it switched over from day shift to night shift, they'd go home. They were support staff. They didn't stay there.
Yeah.
Or one of them would, and one of them would go home and come back the next day. I ended up taking over intervention because they told me to.
Yeah. And
so like in my eyes, I'm looking, and that might have had to do a lot with part of why I left too, was because you weren't there to protect me. I was already hurt doing my job, trying to protect somebody like you guys told me to, but you're not there to protect me.
Yeah.
You put me right back into a situation where things could have really ended badly. Yeah. You know, like had she not calmed down, what could have happened? Like there's no telling.
Yeah.
So
especially when you have no training and you don't know how to handle that kind of situation at all, you know?
Right. Like they don't teach you how to de-escalate somebody. How to like verbally de-escalate somebody. How do you calm somebody down in a situation like that?
Yeah, without putting hands on them. Or you should be able to do it with words. You should be able to.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. You should not have to go to a physical altercation just to get somebody to calm down.
Yeah.
I mean, unless that person is the kind of person that needs just a big bear hug in order to make themselves calm.
Yeah, but that's way different than like sitting on somebody or like.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I said the only thing I knew to do was to wrap my arms around her and just go like this.
Yeah. Yeah, incapacitate them, but not in a way that it was going to harm them.
Right. Because you think about it this. How do you want, if you were acting that way and you needed help, how would you want somebody to react to you?
I would much rather prefer a bear hug to somebody like tackling me or putting my arms behind my back and pushing me to the floor. I think I would prefer a bear hug, you know? And just like,
absolutely.
Are you ready to calm down yet? You know, you don't need to do this.
Right. I mean, yeah. It was the only thing I knew. I mean, like I said, I was 21. So
yeah,
I didn't think
your brain was still like, even at 21, I still feel like the brain is still developing a little bit. Sorry. Even at 21. Yeah, it's totally fine.
I have a dog.
No, it's fine. But yeah, I
was
feel
very
like your brain's even still developing after 21. So I mean,
absolutely.
you're still developing, you're being brainwashed, you're being told that this is helping them. Just do it, don't question it, you know?
Absolutely. It's you do what you're told, you don't ask questions, and you're rewarded for it when you do.
And did did you ever try to ask questions, and was there like consequences for it? What would they do if you asked?
Not really consequences. Well, okay. So to speak, but progression didn't happen. Okay. So like I didn't want to be a family mom forever. I would have loved to have been the person who was running into the shit sometimes. You know what I mean? To be able to stop whatever was going on.
Yeah.
Because you hear all the commotion and you hear what's going on through the radios and when you're sitting in the break room and stuff like that, and you're like, well, that's a lot of action, but like you're doing a lot more than what I'm doing right now. Like I'm just, for an ADD person, I was sitting idle with my thoughts.
Yeah.
A lot of times. So it made it hard. You know what I mean? Like while you guys were in class, we're sitting up there just making sure nobody, like everybody's just doing this. So as long as everybody's just doing this, we're doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you talk back, you'll probably just get stuck as a family mom for the entire time you're there, even though you probably did you stay as a family mom for your entire time
I
there?
did.
Or did you? Okay.
I did. Up until the very end. Excuse me one second. I have to let my dog out.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a puppy still, so
Mhm.
I mean so I was a sort of. So right at the end, after a lot of flippy flopping, basically, somehow I'd get broke out by Verna for a while because she was technically our support staff. I'd get broken out by Verna, and then they would keep me out of the family for a while. Like I would be in Staff Central doing shit, running the radios for Staff Central. I'd randomly pop into like the boys' cabins, check on that. I was all over for like a couple of hours, and then Verna'd get mad and be like, "Can she come back yet?"
Yeah.
So I don't know what their plan was really at that point because I didn't wait it out to see.
Okay. And what was the worst thing that you heard about or saw when in your time there? And was there anything positive about your experience as a staff there?
I can say the positive thing about as a staff there, I probably learned more from you guys than you guys probably learned from me. And not in a bad way. More I learned how to regulate emotion a little bit better instead of wearing it on my face all the time. It like I said, there was a sense of structure that I needed, and living the same style of life that you guys lived basically day in and day out as a family mom kind of created a structure that I think taught me how to create a structure.
Yeah, to create your own. Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, which isn't bad. I think everybody needs some kind of structure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
You just got to learn how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Let me go through it. I don't know. I don't, as far as like me being there, I'm trying to remember like really what the worst thing I experienced was. I mean, 3 kids ran while we were there. Chafin's reaction to that was never a good thing. Like it was, his reaction to that was literally, most of the guys were the ones who were told to go out and look. Obviously, I followed suit because of my connection there.
Yeah.
I kind of was the tag along because of that. They just kind of, I don't get it. I don't know. After talking to some of the other staff, like, that were there when I was there, they've pretty much kind of said the same thing. They said, you know, he could have left and you could have stayed and we probably would have watched out for you and you would have been fine. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think I would have been eaten alive if I would have stayed my butt there and he would have left.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not quite sure about that. But like I said, really, it was, I can honestly say the worst thing I saw, I think, is just how they did. You guys had no individuality. Like, they wanted you guys all to be same. Boys, girls, it didn't matter. Basically, they tried to robot everybody.
Mm-hmm. Took away our autonomy.
Yes. Yes. And that is probably the worst thing that I can say in general that anybody can do to any person, no matter what your age is.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's your personality. That's who you are. That's part of,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Like, yes, you can change behaviors, but to change somebody's personality and change who they are to what you want them to be, that's one of the worst things you can do to a person.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. What happened after you stopped working there?
I married my ex, and got divorced. It wasn't a very good situation that I was in. Like I said, that's not something I really speak too much on because there's a lot of triggering things that I have when it comes to that. That I had to pull myself out of a very, very, very dark place after that.
Okay.
So
Was it partly because of the program? Or
I
working?
believe him going back changed him for the worst and only made what they had started and maybe finished what they had started. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When we left to go out there, he was a completely different person. Drugs or no drugs. Okay. The person he turned into while we were there is a person I didn't know.
Like a complete 180? Like almost
Yeah.
somebody that would like has never, like kind of like the same kind of distinct, would you kind of relate it to the same kind of distinction as somebody that's never touched drugs once in their life and somebody that has touched drugs, and that just like that complete parallel 180
Yes.
flips the person's
Yes.
completely?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you
What was that?
are you do you know what exactly about the program it was that did that to him, or have you ever like thought about what it might have been?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I know he was transported. I know that he fought a lot of demons. He fought a lot of demons started from the get-go with the program. So, but I didn't figure that out until later. Like after we'd been out there and we had come back, I mean, even after we were divorced, I reread the book that I had mentioned earlier, Come Back, shortly after we'd gotten divorced, and I went, oh, okay. And then back in March when the documentary came out, I watched it and I cried because I realized exactly what I was a part of.
Was it hard for you to watch?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It took me probably about a week to get through all 3 episodes because I had to break it up.
Right.
I can honestly say that it was not, Ivy Ridge was not the same as Spring Creek when I was there.
Yeah.
Working. I cannot speak for what it was before I was there, but I can say that It was not that. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Go lay down. Go lay down. No. She's only 2, so.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
You might pop her head in here. So like I said, I can't speak for what it was before that, but like when I moved out there, I mean, Montana's gorgeous. Montana is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
They call it the Big Sky Country for a reason.
Yeah.
I saw my first meteor shower out there ever. Laying on a picnic table in the break room at Spring Creek, though. Because that was my life. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Worked. That's all I did. When we were off shift, we were still hanging out with everybody from work. It was literally a brainwashing. Completely.
Did you hear about or witness any like drugs being brought onto the facility when you were there?
I heard about it. When I was there, there was a guy named Matt. I can't remember his last name, but I want to say he was a former student at one point. But he was one of the culprits of that. One of the people that I had heard had something to do with it, about him coming onto the facility. Whether they left the facility, I have no idea. Okay. I wasn't there. And if I was there for it, I was not privileged to that information.
Okay. And
that makes sense.
Okay. And did you ever hear about or witness anybody using drugs like in the break room or anything like that?
No, but they drank all the time.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
They drank all the time. If you worked there, you probably were drunk.
Like would they drink during break, or like how would they do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, everybody had a water bottle. Everybody had a cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody knew what was inside of it unless you asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there were people obviously who didn't, but yeah.
Interesting.
Like when we lived there, I can tell you, we had a curfew. We weren't allowed out past 10 o'clock.
Like outside of the cabin? Like anywhere on the facility?
Yeah. No. We could go to the break room and stuff like that. But you couldn't just wander the facility at night. Like when we were living there in the beginning.
Yeah.
We couldn't leave the facility after 10 o'clock. And if we came back after 10 o'clock, we were locked out.
Wow. How would they lock you out? Oh, outside of the cabin, out of the cabin, right? They lock you out of the cabin.
We had keys.
Yeah.
We had keys. I have no idea. I never thought about it until now. Like, It's not like they had a gate at the end of the driveway, like, no, you shall not pass.
Yeah, I think that's part of the psychological, manipulation.
Like, who was I to question it? You know what I mean? Like, you're giving me a free place to live. I eat here. Okay, you're gonna lock me out? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be home by 10.
Yeah.
Otherwise, or we had to let them know that we weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're not coming back. We're going to stay in Missoula. Stop. Sorry. She gets loud.
How do you think, what is it your opinion, knowing what you know now, that these schools that are still open should or even could be fully regulated, or is it your belief that they should all just be shut down? How do you think?
I think they should be shut down and restructured completely.
Okay.
If you're gonna make a school or some place to help troubled kids or troubled teens, ask the troubled teens what they need.
Yeah, definitely. Start there. You ask them.
If you could, or the ones who have been through it already, like if you could go back and say, hey, did you need help? Yeah, I probably did. Obviously, I mean, I was able to recognize it because I was at a different age. You know what I mean? My family history also tells me otherwise. You know what I mean? That I was going down a path I shouldn't go down. At some point, like anybody can look back at their adolescence and go, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or oh, I should have probably done that differently, or if I could, I might do the same thing, but I might do it different. I won't end up, I don't want this outcome. I want the better outcome. So how can I make it this way? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like most people think about things like that. So why not ask the ones who have been through it, what would you have done to have helped yourself in that state?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Two. One's old, one's young.
If you could go back in a time machine, knowing what you know now and not work there, would you do it and why?
Knowing what I know now?
Yeah.
No, I would go back. I would probably do it still.
Okay.
Because I still want to be the change. If I could be the change, I'd want to be the change.
Yeah.
Because I saw it then and I never stopped saying it then. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with what they did and what they do. But if what I said or have to say could have changed it or made anything better, like I said, for any of you guys, yeah, I would do it again.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you want people to know about your experience or anything else that you might tell a parent thinking about sending their kid to a place like this?
If you're thinking about sending your kid to a place like this, I would say don't. Or do a lot of research before you do. Because everybody says don't judge a book by its cover. So why should you judge a school by what you see online?
Yeah, definitely. At least read the reviews. They're available now.
Read the reviews. Go there and actually say, I want to pick the student I talk to.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. You want to pick it from me? No, I think I want to talk to the one who's sitting over in the corner that doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Yep.
I want to see what they think.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, really, other than that, and if you're thinking about sending your kid to a place like this, don't ask them why they're doing what they're doing. Ask yourself why they're doing what they're doing. Because a lot of times, as a parent, I can say this, you don't always see, or you don't always want to see the truth and accept it. But really, it's right there. Your answers are right there and they're giving them to you. You just have to open your eyes and actually have to listen the right way.
Yeah. I see that.
Like, have the mindset of when you were a kid or you were their age, be the person that you needed, not the person that you had.
Okay. Okay.
If that makes sense. Like I've always thought that because like I always wished my parents listened more. So instead, now I ask my daughter's 6, by the way. So, and has an attitude. So anytime she gets angry and pissy, I look at her and I go, okay, why are we acting like this? What's making you go from being my nice little girl to holy cow, a rager?
Yeah.
You know, like what changed? Because there's always a reason. There's always something.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, communication is key, definitely.
100%.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And like I say with everybody, if you ever want to do part 2, if things come up, which they usually do, just take some notes and we can do part 2. That's no problem. And I also want to commend you just for, not trying to bullshit and just coming out, I did this, and, I'm not going to try and sugarcoat things, and just committing to what you did, and I understand that, you were younger and, everybody's being brainwashed, and it just takes, I commend anybody that will come on the platform and just, at all. So thank you for coming on and just, validating a lot of things. And I think this will be validating for a lot of people. So
I hope so. And like I said, if I can help anybody, I'm on Facebook. So most of the girls that were in my families, I probably talked to, still to this day. I can say that I actually had a conversation back and forth trying to figure out what to talk about here with Sarah Gronsky, going, hey, do you remember when this happened? She's like, no. And I'm like, wait, were you in integrity then, or were you in passion when it happened? I mean, and I did. I do. Emily Wise. I do. I was there when they shut down. Was it Cross Creek?
Yeah, and everybody came from Cross Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we had a girl named Katrina too, who either went to Jamaica originally and then came there, or got sent to Jamaica.
Was it was Katrina with a C, right?
Yes.
Yep. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that literally just crossed my mind as I was talking about Sarah. Because I remember there was some crazy times.
And I actually just thought of one more question. Do you know anything about their policy on sending students to Jamaica or to other places like outside the U.S.? Do you know anything about their policy on that? Because they threatened.
What policy? I don't think there was a policy. I think that was their threat, because they threatened a lot of girls with that too. I noticed, like, if you decided you didn't want to work your program, if you acted out all the time, or like they thought you were looking for attention, like just to have attention, they would start to threaten it. And then the more they could get a reaction out of you for it is like how much more they would threaten it. Because like, I can tell you that the girl that bit me, they actually threatened to send away. And I think she ended up going to another facility somewhere, but it was after I left.
Okay.
But they were threatening Jamaica with her for a while.
Interesting.
And it was just because she kept threatening to self-harm herself.
Yeah.
She was super young. She was super, super young. Her dad was one of the first students there. Originally. And then she was sent there by the same parents that sent him there.
That's insane.
So yeah, she had a lot of problems, like that Spring Creek couldn't help.
Yeah.
So threatening to send you guys away even farther was just their scare tactic to get you guys to act out more.
Yeah.
Because think about it. The more you guys acted out, the more you guys got removed, the longer they spent in intervention, the more paperwork they had to write or didn't have to write. Because I can honestly tell you, I spent a lot of time sitting in intervention with people just sitting there. There were really nothing. Like, it literally, there were no reports. I'd get done and then I'd be like, we sat here for blah, blah, blah time. They refused to leave. That's all you had to do, and they'd let you stay there for past midnight. As soon as it would hit midnight, girls would be like, let's go. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I really think it was a scare tactic.
Okay. Except for the people that did get shipped off. So that's what's very intriguing to me, is that the thing, people that did.
If they got shipped off, they had to have contacted their parents, because legally, you have to have a parental okay to send an underage child over state lines or even
outside the country.
country lines outside of the country.
Yeah.
How did they know you had a passport? Because even then you had to have passports.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Yeah. It's very intriguing. I'm very curious about that whole thing.
So like I said, I think it's a scare tactic, honestly, because they would threaten, and then, but how many do you remember from being there that actually got sent away?
Maybe like 1 or 2 my entire time there.
Right.
And I was there
So,
2 months.
right. Honestly, I only ever saw him threaten. I don't think I actually, other than Michelle Jones, I wasn't there for when she left to go, but I was there when she came back.
Okay. Yeah.
And like, honestly, I don't think they could have sent her without her parents saying, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember if I
Like,
asked her that in the interview. I should reach out and see if she had if she knows if her parents sign anything to have her sent there.
that would be a really intriguing question to actually ask. Because I would actually be really interested to know that too. Because they would even tell us, I mean, you can always tell them, they're going to send you away if you don't start like working your program. This is what happened to so and so. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. A lot of stuff they didn't add up or make sense. Like, how am I certified to administer medication?
Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely not. No, you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 90% of the meds you guys got all went into a lockbox and was given to us.
Yeah.
We pulled it out. We handed it to you guys.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that actually until now. Like you guys would have needed a college degree because even like in a rehab, they have to have a nurse that dispenses your medication, and you can only get it at specific times because a nurse has to be on duty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very intriguing too.
But you guys had to stop at the nurse's office in order to get Tylenol or ibuprofen.
Yep. 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 Yeah, it's crazy. They had because they had a nurse for PR or no. They had the PRNs in the back room too, right? They were also dispensed by you. Remember like if you had to get throat spray or something like that, you get it like once every 6 hours or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So you
All
guys
of that
dispensing, yep.
All of that stuff. If you guys had an inhaler or stuff like that, we had it on us at all times.
Yeah.
Like,
how does that work?
Right. Like, and like those are the things like that I thought about, like, as I was there. I'm like, wait, just because I work here, I'm okay. This is okay. But because they're paying you, you do it.
Yeah.
You don't question it. But maybe I should have.
Yeah. And what would have happened if you had, you know?
Oh, if they had the sheriff and stuff like that in their pocket.
What makes you say, like, why do you say that? Like, what makes you say that?
Because we got in trouble for throwing hold on, let me let her out and I'll tell you the story.
Yep.
So we had, so when we moved out of the facility, we had a car, or when he came home, got me, we came in with his car, right? So on our off shifts over the weekend, during the day, who wants to sit in D cabin by yourself?
Yeah.
All day long. I couldn't go on the other side of D cabin where he was at and hang out with anybody over there because they were boys and I was a girl. Even though I was an adult, that wasn't allowed. It would set the wrong precedents for you guys. So, we were coming up the mountain. I think it was I want to say, I'm trying to remember which road it is because like, I don't know.
Was it the road leading up to the path that led up to Spring Creek? Like the one that you come around the mountain from
Okay, yeah.
Falls?
Yeah. Okay, so when you come up from Thompson Falls and you have like the really tight turns up the mountain.
Yep.
Okay, so like we're up there and apparently one of the deputies was sitting over there and saw one of us throw a cigarette butt out the window. I've never lived in Montana in my life. I don't know what forest fires are and stuff like that and how they start. He followed us onto the facility.
Wow.
Showed up at Staff Central, and Cameron and Chafin were there. Chafin left, and Cameron was hanging out there, and they were talking. That's when they got us to come over and explain to us that you can't do that,
Wow.
and that was our warning.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
So if
they
didn't have the police in their pocket, I guarantee there's no doubt in my mind they would have ticketed us for that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's be real. I mean, out there, knowing what I know about forest fires now and having lived out there through them and what have you and how easily they can start, I get it. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But I also lived up in the Upper Peninsula, up by the Upper Peninsula in Wisconsin for a while. And they have high fire times too. So that's kind of how it all started to make sense when I went up there and I was like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
That was dumb. But yeah, no, they absolutely would have ticketed us for that in a heartbeat.
And they also the fact that they had a direct line of communication and that he followed you onto the facility, went straight into South Central, like he knew right where to go.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
He pulled right up in front of Staff Central. His car went right in front of Staff Central.
Yep. Yeah.
Because I remember all the kids going, ooh, somebody's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Because, I mean, here's the other thing. When the guys ran, why didn't they contact police first? Why did they send us out first?
Yeah, that is a good question. Yeah.
Because I can tell you that it wasn't until later in the night that they sent out search and rescue because we couldn't find them.
Yeah. Yep.
They called us in at 3 a.m. because we couldn't find them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
By that point, they all ended up on sick bed. I'm pretty sure a couple of them had frostbite. Because he took off soaking wet out of the kitchen window.
Yeah. I think I fucking remember hearing about that. Oh my God. It was 3 people, right? It
was like 3 boys.
Yep. I remember that shit. Yep.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like, I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden the whole facility shut down. Everybody went crazy and was like, nobody talks. And it's the first time I think I've ever heard the girls' cabin as quiet as it ever got was that night. Because then they're all sitting there like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, people have tried to run, but I don't think anybody had ever at that point with them have like disappeared.
Yeah, not been found. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so like when they called us in, I mean, they gave us different radios. So that way we could still radio on the mountain with everybody. And I don't ever remember hearing any law enforcement or search agency ever through the radio. It was just us.
Almost like they want to maintain plausible deniability that, you know what I mean, with the sheriff, because once the sheriff sees something or knows about something, then he can't say that he doesn't know about it. But if he's never notified that anything happens, and if we just keep it all on the facility, then he oh, I don't know what you're talking about. If he's questioned, then he has plausible deniability.
Exactly. So I have a question for you. So as a student, did they ever tell you like Montana's a shoot to kill state? So if you guys run, they'll.
Oh yeah, they'd tell us that. They'd say that
tell you guys?
they'd say that there was bears in the woods or mountain lions. that would get you. They would say that there's frostbite. Did you could catch frostbite when it was like when there was this snow? Because you remember how fucking snowy it would get up on the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And yeah, they would tell us all sorts of shit. And then they also later on, closer towards my graduation, they actually started rewarding junior staff with like steak dinners for like catching.
That was always a thing.
That was always a thing?
That was always a thing. So that was a big thing. So when the runners ran to begin with, the big thing was they would get the boys steak dinners because they'd only let the boys go after them. The girls were not, junior staff girls were never allowed to go after runners.
Even if it was a girl that ran?
Nope.
Yeah, I think I remember. Yeah.
Because girls, because we were taught the girls were scandalous.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of the girls were in cahoots together. So even as staff, that's what they told us. Like, they all got packs. They don't all have packs.
Yeah.
Most girls don't like other girls. So
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely said it's a shoot to kill state though.
Okay, because like they always told me like, oh, you know, people won't run because Montana's a shoot to kill state. Though if you walk on somebody's property, they're gonna think they're messing with their cattle and they're gonna kill them. Yeah. And I'm like, that's freaking crazy. Like, why would you tell kids that? And as far as bears and mountain lions, there really were bears. One night I had some of the girls decided to remove themselves like right at shutdown for me. And because I didn't want to go to the break room and deal with my ex at the time, because I'm sure we were fighting or arguing or something. And they were like, yeah, let's get removed. I don't want to be here. I'm not going to bed. Oh, okay, removal. I'll take them. My night staff's here already. So they were like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay. My radio's dying.
Yeah.
I hear rustling in the woods.
Oh, God.
I hear rustling in the woods. I'm like, okay, whatever. There's animals. I know there's deer. I know there's animals. It's cool, right? We go into the evergreen. Right? We come out. I walk the girls back. I get broken out so I could, if the girls, even though the girls were there, I couldn't go to the bathroom because I was the only staff member.
Yeah. Yep. Because you had to keep watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my radio's dying. I get back into the evergreen and I go to come back out and there is a bear. So you know where the break room is at and the Hungry Horse, and then the nurse's station was here. Yeah. So there was the path that came down in between all of that. Yeah, up behind Staff Center or up behind the Hungry Horse. Yeah. Like, so Hungry Horse went this way. So the back of the Hungry Horse in the kitchen was like right here. And then the nurse's station like backed up here. Yeah, we're close to intervention too, right? Intervention's up there. Yep. The intervention was right back up here. Yep. So the trees that were right there, there was a bear. Oh my God. There was a bear. Okay. Now, any other staff member is going to tell you that lived out there is going to tell you it was a baby bear. That's cool. I'm from Chicago. The only bears I've ever seen are on a football field or behind bars on a zoo. That's even worse. If it was a baby bear, that's even worse because that means that there's mama. Yeah. Thank you. Right? That's where my brain is, right? Yeah. So I'm on the radio and I'm like, anybody beep, copy. I'm stuck in the evergreen, beep. And I'm like, radio's dying. Beep, beep, beep. The night shift supervisor was nuts. She was crazy. Like some crazy mountain lady. And I am going to still say that. I cannot remember her name to save my life. Was it Miss Gale? Maybe. She was like long brown hair. Right? Like a mountain woman? Kind of, yeah. Did she have really long brown hair and always wore like a wolf shirt? Yeah. I think that's who I think that's who. Okay. Yeah. She comes running down that path from the break room. Going, and chases this baby bear up a tree. What? Yes. That's crazy. You guys are lucky that there wasn't the mommy or daddy around. Like, that's what I said. So I wake up the next morning, and of course, night shift is all giving me crap over the radio. Shauna got scared by a baby bear.
Yeah.
No, okay. Football field or zoo? Take your pick. That's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I am not used to when I moved there and I said, they're like, Missoula's the city. I said, where's the skyscrapers? They looked at the mountains and said, there they are. And I went, what? That's not a city?
Yeah. This isn't a city at all.
So, yeah, I mean, they really were animals out there. That's why everything was caged up the way it was as far as, garbage and what have you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, as long as you didn't mess with them during mating season or like breeding, with their babies, I pretty much leave you alone unless there's a problem, like you're messing with them. You avoid them, they'll avoid you. I just stayed in the evergreen.
Yeah. The deer would come down a lot on the facility, though. I do remember them walking all over the paths and everything.
So the girls used to, so you remember the apples that we used to get?
Yeah. Yep.
So if the girls decided they didn't want to do a snack or anything like that, we would bag the apples and keep the apples. And then once a week, I'd let the girls go out back and feed all the baby deer.
That's dope. Hell yeah.
They whether they had to chuck them out. I mean, by the time I left, I had deer that would literally come right up to that back room door.
Yeah, it's fucking. I don't know if I've ever seen deer be that social since I was there.
Exactly. Same. Yeah, it was crazy. They really paint a picture, though. They really do. The facility and stuff like that, they make it look nice and they make it look. I mean, you can't beat what the nature actually is there. Is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is cool.
They tainted the air there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a shame that we had to see it from windows with grates on them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because I mean, as much as you guys did, we did to a staff.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, we slept in the back room.
Yeah. Yeah.
We weren't allowed out of the back room after a certain time. Like our breaks after shutdown, we're only allowed X amount of time. And then you had to go back, or otherwise you get written up or whatever. I don't even know whatever happened to write-ups with really.
Would anything even happen if you got written up?
I don't know. I have no idea, really. Like it's so weird because like I can't really even remember anybody actually being fired from there. They just left.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? They either made it uncomfortable or made it a suggestion that they should leave.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Like it's
not really like they could probably afford to fire people either.
Either they can't afford to fire them or they can't or fear of what they're going to tell people.
Yeah, that's probably a part of it too, for sure.
I mean, from experience of like leaving there and trying to explain what I did, you know what I mean? Like that's hard to do. Like I tell everybody, if you really want to know what it was like or what anything is about, the best thing I can tell you to do is to watch the documentary.
Yeah. Yeah. At least
because
we can point to now and be like, just watch that. Even though it's not specifically about Spring Creek, it does kind of give you the gist. At least gives you the gist of what.
It gives you the gist of what W.A.S.P was. Because each facility, I think, created their own, turned it into their own, but they all had the same basic guidelines from what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
And what I've been reading. Because, I mean, since being there, I did. First thing I did was create a Facebook. First thing I did was make sure every girl knew what my last name was. and told every one of them.
Big no.
I will admit 100% of every no I did too. That was, like I said, that was the first thing I did. I told them I was leaving. They knew exactly where I was going, and they knew how to find me if they needed something.
That's cool.
One of the boys actually that was in Quest was, I mean, I don't know how to actually phrase it because I don't think he actually has anything to do with his adopted family anymore. But he was adopted into a family that my mom worked with.
Oh, wow.
And he was sent there while I was there.
Wow. Interesting. I wonder how that happened.
And he was put into my ex's family.
That's even more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that happened.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know if my mom had said anything about where I was at or anything like that, or what I was doing. I never actually asked. I actually might, because I'd like to reach out to him. I mean, he came back to this area after he left there, and I was in connection with him for a while until he moved. And since he moved, I have not heard from him. I randomly pop on Facebook just to make sure he's doing okay.
Yeah.
But I don't want to push. I don't want to push. I don't want to pry. If he needs something and he watches this, know that I'm still here.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's so awesome. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
You're very welcome anytime.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you guys so much for watching so far in the video. Please make sure you like the video, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and just interact with the video, and it really helps the algorithms. And thank you guys so much. We will catch you on the next one. Bye.